You will not share your personal views on whether it is right or wrong to reinstitute discriminatory policies in this country to prevent black people from voting?
Senator, my personal views are irrelevant.
Así es, amigos. Ese fue el senador demócrata Murphy interrogando a uno de los nominados de Donald Trump, exactamente el que es para embajador en Sudáfrica. Este hombre, llamado Leo Brent Bossel III, no pudo responder preguntas básicas sobre si Estados Unidos debería de discriminar a las personas negras o impedirles votar, ni tampoco sobre si el país debería de aceptar refugiados solo porque son blancos y rechazar a personas morenas o negras, simplemente por el color de su piel. Voy a mostrarles exactamente todo lo que pasó en esta audiencia, porque creo que más que probable no lo vayan a ver en ningún medio de comunicación. Esto ocurrió este viernes pasado, y también voy a mostrarles cómo algunos republicanos interrogaron también a otros nominados de Trump para puestos de embajadores. Uno de ellos, llamado Amir Ghalib, fue elegido por Trump para ser embajador en Kuwait. Este hombre es el mismo que cuando estaba en el Consejo Municipal de Michigan, decía cosas muy extrañas como que Trump va a apoyar a los palestinos, o que Trump ama a los árabes, o incluso árabes por Trump, no sé si lo recuerdan. Bueno, pues este mismo fue seleccionado por Trump para representar a Estados Unidos en Kuwait, y resulta que antes él había dicho que Saddam Hussein es un mártir. Es más, que felicitaba a Trump por haber invadido Kuwait. Así que voy a mostrarles todo lo que ocurrió en esta audiencia donde estos individuos fueron interrogados. Bueno, pues esto fue lo que dijo el senador Murphy cuando interrogó a Leo Brent Bossel, nominado de Trump para ser embajador en Sudáfrica. Pongamos el clip.
Do you support having a refugee admissions policy in this country that only admits white refugees?
Senator, I don't make that policy.
Well, but it's really important. But I think this is if I were to ask this question of virtually any nominee to be an ambassador prior to this panel, that would be an easy layup answer. No, of course, we don't support having a refugee policy where we only admit white people. So why can't you give me your personal view on that?
Because, Senator, I am here to serve America and to do what the president is asking me to do. I'll be following the executive order of February.
Would you support reinstituting laws in this country to only allow white people to vote?
Senator, I'm going to serve as ambassador to South Africa, and I'm going to focus on that.
You will not share your personal views on whether it is right or wrong to reinstitute discriminatory policies in this country to prevent black people from voting?
Senator, my personal views are irrelevant. I am serving here to do what the president is asking me to do in South Africa.
Well, that's just simply not true. The whole reason that you're appearing before this committee is because your personal views, your history is absolutely relevant to your fitness to serve. We wouldn't have this process if your personal views were not relevant. That is pretty stunning that you will not share your views not only on whether we should have a refugee admissions process that is race-based, but you won't share your personal views on whether we should reimpose discriminatory treatment against Black Americans. That is absolutely relevant to your qualifications to serve, and your refusal to answer it, I hope, is something that every member of this committee will think about.
Luego intervino el senador demócrata Van Hollen y bueno, pues es este mismo interrogatorio, pero desde otra perspectiva.
President Trump made the legally and morally absurd claim that the government of South Africa was engaged in genocide against Afrikaners there. And if confirmed, you, of course, would be our ambassador to South Africa. So I have a pretty straightforward question. Do you agree that that claim was absurd?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. My answer to you is this. If you were to talk to those people who are involved, they fear—
Mr. Bazell, I'm sorry. Genocide is a legally defined issue. No. It's not a question of someone's impression. There's a legal definition for it. To your knowledge, has the State Department legal advisor concluded that the government of South Africa is engaged in genocide?
Senator, I don't know that answer, but Senator,
no, it's a straightforward question. I'm not going to. It's a straightforward question. There's a legal definition of genocide. I want to know if you agree that that's an absurd claim made by the President of the United States.
Senator, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't address it that way.
The president, of course, is reported to be engaged right now in reducing the number of refugees that can come into the United States to something around 7,500. And that the overwhelming majority of those would be Afrikaner or white South Africans. That, in my view, is a gross misuse of our policies. Do you agree that we should not have a refugee policy, admission policy that's based on race?
Senator, in South Africa.
No, I'm asking you if we should have a refugee admission policy based on race. Again, it's a simple question, sir.
Senator, I'm trying to answer it.
Yes or no? Should we have one based on race?
In South Africa, you have thousands of attacks that have taken place against white farmers. They fear for their lives. What the president is saying is that they can come to the United States as refugees if they fear for their lives.
Right. So that's not an answer to my question. There is a legal criteria for people being admitted to the United States. My question was that based on reports, very credible reports, the Trump administration is talking about making it a cap worldwide of refugees and making almost all of them Afrikaners, white South Africans. I know you don't want to answer the question. That sounds like a race-based refugee
Senator, I
policy.
can't answer. Sorry, I can't answer the question. I'm not privy to that. I don't know the answer.
Do you agree?
I don't know the answer about that.
Después vino el senador demócrata Tim Kaine. Voy a mostrarles todo lo que dijo.
Senator Murphy said it is an easy question. It's a layup when you're asked the question of should our refugee programs be race-based. Our Constitution in the 14th Amendment says all persons, not all citizens, all persons in this country are entitled to equal protection of the laws. You'll take an oath. You'll take an oath to support that Constitution should you be confirmed. It's not a hard question, and your unwillingness to answer it is very troubling. I want to ask you this. Are you aware of the Freedom Plus Party in South African politics?
No, Senator.
Okay, I'll tell you, the Freedom Plus Party is an Afrikaner political party that has the most representation of Afrikaners in the South African parliament, and that is part of the national unity government. It was a party that used to be in opposition, but since 2024 has been part of the national unity government. The Afrikaners that President Trump believes are being persecuted are actually represented by a party that made the decision to join the national unity government. And I think that's something you should pay some attention to.
Y bueno, a partir de ahí fue el turno de los republicanos. El senador Cormick de Pensilvania interrogó a uno de los nominados de Trump para ser embajador en Kuwait, y ese es Amir Ghalib. Y bueno, pues señaló que Ghalib anteriormente había llamado a los judíos monos, o al menos había dado me gusta a una publicación que los llamaba así, que había dicho que Israel no debería de existir, y es más, había elogiado pues a Saddam Hussein como si fuera un mártir. Así que amigos, este fue el nominado de Trump para ser embajador en Kuwait.
I was a member of the 82nd Airborne Division that actually helped oust Saddam Hussein from Kuwait. You referred to Saddam Hussein sympathetically as a martyr, which has some significance given that you'd be the United States' highest-ranking diplomat in Kuwait, a country that was invaded by Saddam. How do you justify calling Saddam Hussein a martyr to us, but also to the people of Kuwait?
Thank you, Senator. I explained earlier that post was in January 7, 2020. I was a private citizen before. It wasn't in my official capacity, and it was the day when the American military bases in Iraq were attacked by Iran. I was angry that we did not respond to the Iranian regime. And so in a moment of anger, I recalled and complimented Saddam Hussein for keeping the Iranian regime in check. And I said earlier that probably that's, in his career, that would be the only positive thing he did. And the only thing I would agree with. That, no doubt he was a dictator. No doubt the invasion of Kuwait was a crime, was a violation of the international law. And for those who are offended by that, and those who suffered from Saddam or lost loved ones, I apologize. I'm not very adamant about describing him like that. But like I said, it was a moment of anger. I know he did a lot of atrocities to his people.
Good. Let me move on to my second question. As a mayor, you repeatedly targeted American ally Israel through your support of boycott, divest, and sanctions movement against Israel. And you called for Israelis to, quote, leave the land, unquote, thereby supporting the end of the state of Israel. So my question to you, given the role you are being nominated for, do you accept President Trump's view that Israel is and should be the national home of the Jewish people?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator, for that question. Let me make it clear that the BDS movement resolution was drafted by a Jewish attorney who was part of the...
This question is, do you agree or do you disagree with President Trump's view that Israel is and should be the national home of the Jewish people? Just a yes or no.
Well, thank you, Senator. That I think at this point we have a peace plan that everybody in the region agreed on.
There's no yes or no. You didn't. Do you agree with the president's position or not?
I think we can coexist in the region, and that's the answer, that everybody has the right to exist now.
Well, no, that's not the president's position. Do you agree with the president's
I trust the president's policies, and I will support his policies.
Okay, let me move to my third question. Yeah. And I want you to take a minute and really try to explain this to me. In 2025, so this is this year, you liked a Facebook comment referring to Jews as, quote, monkeys, unquote, who levy taxes on the, quote, the air we breathe, unquote. Now, I heard you say before that you have this habit that you acknowledge all of the posts, but I don't totally understand that. So could you please provide an explanation for the rationale of liking this comment? And do you agree with that comment?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. First of all, let's correct the misinformation. It's very disturbing. That comment was when I was a private citizen about 6 or 7 years ago. It wasn't this year. It was under a post that I posted as a private citizen. And
incluso Ted Cruz se mostró completamente desconcertado, confundido sobre por qué es que este tipo fue elegido para ese puesto.
And you've been asked about this before, but it is really quite astonishing that on Facebook, you liked a post that called Jews monkeys for their own benefit.
Thank you, Senator.
Why would you like a post that calls Jews monkeys?
Thank you. I explained that earlier. From 2010 to 2000, before I became the mayor, I used to have a bad habit of acknowledging every post, every comment under my post. Doesn't mean that I agree with it, just acknowledging. But there were a response under that was not translated or interpreted that says you can say this in your country, but not in this country, which means that I did not agree with that post, even though I acknowledge it. I know it was a bad habit, but let me be clear. I don't agree with that statement, and I treat everybody with respect in my official capacity.
And let's be clear. The statement that you liked said they are all monkeys for their own benefit. So every Jew is a monkey.
I don't agree with that statement, Senator. And the person who wrote it is mentally challenged in our community. He is well known. I used to have this idea of inclusivity in my past, ideology. I changed in 2024. I changed even my party,
Mr. Ghalib, there may well be positions within the Trump administration that you are qualified to perform in that are unrelated to these issues that you have such passionate beliefs about. I believe your beliefs are sincere. I believe that when you became the mayor of the first city in America to pass a BDS resolution, it's because you believe in BDS. I disagree with you on that. That is contrary to the policy of the United States government, but you're entitled to have your own views.
But
what I do not understand is how you could possibly serve as a United States ambassador for President Trump in the Middle East when you have passionate views, including having been a vocal opponent of the Abraham Accords, the singular and most consequential accomplishment President Trump has negotiated, and your longstanding views are to publicly oppose the Abraham Accord.
Thank you, Senator. Let me be clear. I support the Abraham Accord, and I think there's a golden opportunity to get everybody involved in that. And let me be clear, in February of 2022, as the mayor, the first thing I did is to pass a resolution to condemn anti-Semitism. It's documented. That's what I perform in my official capacity. The other things, people are making assumptions based, trying to judge my intention.
I'm curious, would a statement like all Jews are monkeys, would that qualify as anti-Semitism?
Well, that's, somebody wrote it who's mentally challenged.
Now, my question is, does the statement all Jews are monkeys, does that qualify as anti-Semitism?
I don't agree with it, Senator.
Okay, you're not answering my question.
It's definitely anti-Semitism, but clicking on it doesn't mean I endorse it. It's
well,
just
actually, like means exactly that. When you like something, it means you like
Senator,
something.
Every post since 2000.
Para que entiendan mejor la posición de Donald Trump, tenemos que recordar que él se ha inventado esta historia del supuesto genocidio en Sudáfrica contra los blancos, algo que simplemente no existe. Y ahora su nominado repite la misma mentira, diciendo que solo deberían aceptar 7.500 refugiados al año y que todos deberían de ser blancos. O sea que si tienes la piel morena, si eres negro y no encajas en ese perfil racial, no puedes ser refugiado, a menos que seas un africano blanco, ¿no? De Sudáfrica. Pues bueno. Todo basado en un genocidio inventado por Trump. Para que lo recuerden, esto fue lo que dijo Donald Trump durante el mes de mayo al presidente de Sudáfrica cuando tuvieron su reunión. Escuchemos.
What would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for President. For him, no, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be,
Our president will respond to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories. And is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things. And it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are.
Y es que recordemos, amigos, Trump le mostró al presidente de Sudáfrica una serie de supuestos artículos, evidencias falsas. Habían unas imágenes de cementerios diciendo, mirá que aquí están encerrados los blancos, los blancos asesinados, cuando en realidad no eran cementerios ni pruebas de nada. La verdad, amigos, es que sí, en Sudáfrica hay violencia. Eso es algo innegable. Hay crímenes, tanto granjeros blancos como negros, que han sido asesinados. Pero eso no es un genocidio contra los blancos. Es una violencia general que se vive en Sudáfrica. Trump simplemente aprovechó esa violencia para convertirlo en un invento, en esa narrativa. Y ahora pues, la persona que quiere colocar como embajador repite el mismo libreto. Pues bueno, señores, pasemos un poco a hablar del Pentágono. Pete Hegseth, señores, nuevamente activando las alarmas. Un periodista le preguntó al nuevo secretario de guerra del trumpismo, a Pete Hegseth, sobre un supuesto memorando en el cual pues ordenarían entrenar a los soldados de la Guardia Nacional para poder controlar multitudes en todos los estados del país. Bueno, pues la respuesta que obtuvimos fue tan ambigua, fue tan evasiva que, amigos, este memorando encendió todas las alarmas. Lo que se filtró en sí es un documento que detalla la creación de una Fuerza de Respuesta Nacional dentro de la Guardia Nacional. Es como un nuevo grupo dentro de la Guardia Nacional. Según el memo, esta fuerza sería desplegada en los 50 estados para poder manejar disturbios civiles, poder controlar protestas y, claro, todo esto bajo el mando directo del gobierno federal, o sea, de Donald Trump. Pero aquí viene lo preocupante, y es que en este memorando también se filtró que se planea que este grupo ya esté operativo para abril 2026. Entonces, cuando la periodista le pidió a Pete Hegseth confirmar la autenticidad del memo, su respuesta fue algo peligrosa. Escuchemos de qué se trata.
Secretary Hegseth, sir, a memo circulating on social media details the establishment of a National Guard response force that's going to be trained in crowd control and civil unrest and deployed in all 50 states by April of 2026. Can you verify the authenticity of that memo, and do you have any more information on the operations?
I'm not going to answer particulars on something that may be in the planning process, but we definitely do have multiple layers of National Guard response forces, whether it's in each state, whether it's regionally, whether it's Title X active duty, whether it's Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of different ways that constitutionally and legally we can employ Title X and Title 32 forces, and we will do so when necessary.
Sam, this is, I mean, my alarm bells are going off in my head. I don't know if maybe I'm being dramatic, but this seems like...
Not you.
Not me, dramatic. Like an escalation and something that should be concerning to a lot of people.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yes, obviously it's concerning. It's concerning when they dispatch federal authorities to states against the governor's will. It's concerning watching them loot the DOJ. It's concerning the story that we haven't discussed, the random $130 million gift that some benefactor is giving to the military. We don't know who it is. That's concerning. Everything is deeply concerning in this moment, and you kind of have to pick which ones you're going to emotionally get more invested in and which ones not.
I have a large baby.
Yes, I'm aware of the vast emotions you have. In this case, I do think, I want to see the details of this, the election monitoring. Obviously, it's conspicuous that they are choosing Democratic states. It's odd that they didn't do Virginia, which also has an election, right. Although Virginia has a Republican governor. I'm not totally sure what to read into it. I will note, sometimes, I'm not saying this is a reason to be optimistic, but sometimes when this does happen, it has the opposite effect of it encourages people to get out more. It really riles people up, and it backfires from the intended consequences, assuming that the intention here is to, have some sort of voter suppression. So we'll see what happens. This broke last night. We really haven't seen much in additional reporting, but yeah, of course,
A esto es a lo que quiero llegar. No se negó el memo, no lo desmintió. Simplemente se escudó en tecnicismos y habló de capas de respuesta, ¿no? De títulos legales. O sea, en lenguaje político solo significa una cosa. Sí, existe algo en marcha, pero no te lo voy a decir aún. Esto no es paranoia. Recordemos que durante la administración de Trump, el primer mandato, hemos visto una tendencia clara y en este segundo mandato es peor. La militarización del poder civil. Envían fuerzas federales sin insignias a arrestar manifestantes. Esto ocurrió en Portland, recordemos, hace semanas, días. O los intentos por usar la Guardia Nacional en Washington, D.C., que bueno, no terminó en intentos, lo hizo. Y todo esto para protegerse ¿de qué? De gente que estaba en la calle, porque barrieron con la gente de la calle. El problema con ese tipo de memorandos no es solo la existencia, sino que es quien los controla. Y en este caso, pues, sería una Guardia Nacional que va a estar subordinada directamente a las ideas de este presidente y no de los gobernadores estatales. O sea que esto va a romper con una de las reglas más básicas en el federalismo estadounidense, que es el balance de poder entre el gobierno federal y los estados. Y yo sé que mientras algunos están intentando justificar todo esto como una medida preventiva ante futuros disturbios, protestas, etc., la realidad es que ya se está normalizando el uso militar para poder controlar a la población civil. Ya no se utiliza la policía. Y es lógico que esto ha sonado todas las alarmas. He visto tantos comentarios de los defensores del trumpismo que dicen que solo es una medida de seguridad, que no hay nada de qué preocuparse, pero en serio, o sea, ¿desde cuándo se entrena a tropas de la Guardia Nacional para poder controlar multitudes a nivel nacional en tiempos de paz y sin tener una amenaza concreta? La historia ya nos ha enseñado que cuando un gobierno empieza a preparar fuerzas para el control interno, lo hace no para proteger la democracia, sino para protegerse ellos mismos. Así que sí, señores, mis alarmas también están sonando. Pero bueno, ¿qué opinan ustedes? ¿Creen que este memorando tan solo es, como dicen, una medida preventiva? ¿O será que estamos viendo los primeros indicios de un plan mucho más grande para poder militarizar la vida civil en Estados Unidos? Los leo en los comentarios. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme en este video. Recuerden, como siempre, déjame tu like, comparte el contenido y suscríbete al canal. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.